So come on in, take a sip. Let's wind down. It's Friday, which is the end of the week for most of us. This is a fabulous, beautiful day here. It's a little on the chilly side outside yet, but it is sunny. Well, it was sunny. It's getting into the evening hours now, but I picked up this 2017 Contessa Marina. This is the Riserva. This comes from the private seller, and this is the Copertino. And it feels, from discussing it with my wine expert downstairs, it's exactly what she said it would be, although I think I'm picking up a few extras here. So I'm getting like black cherry, almost like they're talking like bada bing cherry that you would put in a Manhattan or an old fashioned perhaps. But I'm meaning to say probably allspice, some vanilla. It's very oaky. I think we got some hints in there of just some fresh cut strawberries too. On the palate, it is just a gorgeous finish. Slightly tannic. 1 to 100, 100 being sweet. I would give this a 30. So still dry, still pleasant for me. But just wonderful in the nose. What a bouquet. But the allspice, it's not something I'm used to running into. Interesting here too, it's an Italian. It's a regional wine. But I'm not picking up the typical pepper that I get so often. This is just your basic Italian red that's been really, really well done. So, bravo, brava, Contessa. So, yes, what a beautiful day. And with dinner out of the way now it's just time to wind down and enjoy. And that's exactly what we need to do here today. So we got ourselves a Friday, March 21st grid. Looks like we have a co-construction by Boaz Moser and Jacob Reed. So as usual these days, I'm not going to ever take it for granted, but edited by Will Shorts. Loving that. Every day I get to say that is a blessing. Let's hop into our grid and see what we got. Basketballs, quadruple double. Neverism. That's the kind of thing you probably need at YouTube if you want to see it on a regular basis. Let's see. Not pay as one goes. Freedom of expression. Too vague. Like wetlands. Typically, I would probably put in marshy, but I don't know. I don't know what it could be. Chilling, maybe. God Who Wears the Belt, Megan Yord, and that would be Thor. Big Fat Mouth. So I don't know what this basketball or quadruple double is yet. Prosciutto is an example. I have an H here, so I would, if I had 6 letters, I'd say raw ham. Well, that's what I just say. But I think we must be talking cured ham, which is also true. Big fat mouth. Maybe a yap. Shut your yapper kind of a thing. People always getting a favorable news coverage. Image on a South African Krugerrand, and that would be an antelope. And I'm not a numismatist by any stretch, nor am I a philatelist, but you would think that sometimes I dabbled in these more colorful arts of collecting, right? Just in that I get so much from the crossword regarding coins and stamps, or at least I did for a period about 10 years ago and before. But I do have a pretty crazy collection of rare coins, or well, foreign coins, just foreign denominations. In addition, my Wunderkamine, which is a German word for like a cabinet of wonders, which I keep a lot of our collectibles and stuff in. So not pay as one goes could be to run a tab. And Corsair. Are we talking like a Chevy? Or are we talking about what they did militarily? Minded could be cared, and I guess we do probably have a Raider here. So chilling could be idle, and now it all comes up. So like wetlands, typically maybe reedy. And site with a craft supplies and tools category, probably Etsy. And basketball's quadruple double. Well, what did I call it? A neverism? We'll just call it a rarity. I guess that's probably better. Okay, so freedom of expression could be artistic license. L'art pour l'art, right? Bad thing to blow. Oh, big something maybe? Country represented by the Black Star of Africa, and that would be Ghana. For a song, probably cheap. Cheap as... maybe cheap as dirt, I don't know. We can throw probably cheap in here and see what we got though. I mean, it ain't gonna hurt. Sierra Nevadas as an example. Item not found much in cars nowadays. To do. It's a short walk from home. Okay, how about first base? And a flap. And yeah, and in case you're wondering, I'm a bit of a baseball fan, or I was. I love college ball. So college baseball, college football I like. But I guess when it comes to baseball, as in professional baseball, probably kind of a diehard Cardinals fan, and by geographic representation, approximation, I fan of the Rangers, just being from Fort Worth, Texas. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of baseball in the crossword. Some of these one of things you just kind of got to get used to, you know. I think item not found much in cars these days, guys. Handful on the farm. We'll go with a teat. Oh, I mean, it seems about right. Now it looks like we've got an atlas that's going to go in a car. I don't think I've ever considered a roadmap an atlas, but I guess by definition it is. So, org with a commissioner. How about the IRS? How about so many people always getting favorable news coverage? I guess these could be media darlings. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being a media darling. So I guess the bad thing to blow could be a big lead, and that would suck. So our Sierra Nevadas look like they're gonna be ales. About damn time. How about at last? And totes adorbs. Okay, how about maybe too cute? Totes adorbs. Have I said that at work or something? I think they'd look at me like, oh, just totes adorbs. So we have a friend's catchphrase here. How you, I'm assuming it's how you doing. Now I seem to remember that in the 90s, people saying that, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Or I can't remember how they actually did it, but now I'm starting to remember. I never watched the show. Fess up. So maybe admit it. You can't handle the truth. Began listening to a podcast, say maybe to tune in. Interesting how that has its roots in literally using a tuner to find a station on FM. Inhale, so to speak. Maybe we were talking about eating. I try not to inhale, but I have to be honest. If I'm by myself, which I am sometimes for a few months at a time when Shotzi's back in the States taking care of family or whatever, I've been known to sit down. I'll build an elaborate strat. I'll have, 3 or 4 courses and stuff. I treat it all very special, knife rests, the whole 9 yards. But then in 3 seconds, I've eaten the entire plate. And I'm like, okay, no one here to be not rude for, so... how Mario introduces himself in video games, and I don't know. I've never played, gosh. Shotzi and I used to play the Simpsons arcade game occasionally if we just felt like blowing 50 cents and doing something like that, right? So be on the precipice would be the teeter, but I don't. I'm just not a gamer. even if I wanted to be, I could never figure out the little square and the triangle and the circle and the X. I just of the highest quality. Perhaps we're talking about prime. So does Mario say it's a me? Maybe so. I don't know. More reasonable could be saner. So I'm gonna keep that in mind. It's a me. No, come stai, Mario? Come stai? Io sto bene. I can just hear it. It's a me. Super. C47 across. Okay. With 48 across. Cousin of sleep. Probably ice rain. Attire often used in filming CGI scenes informally, and that's a motion capture suit. So a mocap suit. What I'd like to have is one of those fat suits, like the good ones. You know, you don't have to do a whole lot of blending. You know, but like you could really you just whale yourself. Which, by the way, is going to be the topic of this weekend's. What are we watching this week? I think I want to talk about the whale. Renium got me. He watched it, added his comment last time we did an episode, and I just felt like from his words I needed to watch it myself. Wow. Yeah. Suigenerie. Okay. I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about Julia, because I've started watching that, and I haven't been able to stop. It's such an interesting show. Hot diggity or cool it? Well, we're not going to go with axioms or idioms here. We're not going to do anything. We're just going to say slang. Nice. Rear end. Could be a seat. Still think it's kind of funny that we got a teat as a handful on the farm. That doesn't mean it's right, but it feels like it's all right. It's all kind of lining up there. Show again as a historical event, and that could be to reenact. For a song, yeah, I'm going to say cheap as dirt now. It's kind of what we had guessed, but I don't know. I just wasn't feeling too froggy about it. Heaven on earth could be Eden. Dial could be ring. Hey, dial me up sometime. Give me a ring, baby. Sports great who said if the world were perfect, it wouldn't be. Well, I know this is like a Bera-ism or a Yogi-ism, but it really is a true statement, isn't it? I guess that's the whole point. Item that might be on a list could be an errand. And okay, so let's see, Pokemon tagline. Actually, I know what this is because I'll never forget having had memorized those playing cards from my oldest. He'd leave them all over the place, and I'd pick them up, and every one of them on the face card or on the cover of the card, whatever you call it, the backside of the card, it said, "Gotta catch them all." So catch them all. Obfuscated, hid. I used that one time to say, I don't know why you're obfuscating these things from me, and it was like I was talking Greek or something. I don't know. Features of the sci-fi planet Arrakis, and this would be Dunes. Another show I've never seen. Not the old one, not the new one. I know. I'm going to. I didn't get around to Fargo until this year, so just give me a bit. Home of the Cotahuasi Canyon, which is more than 2 miles deep, and I would assume this is in Peru. My sister Tiffany, Unsol. If you're hearing this, you still owe me a trip to Machu Picchu and some other stuff. So, Philippics would be tirades. Animal skin and Aleut would be parka. And tribal spiritualist, going with the shaman here. And Eritrea's locale in Africa is probably going to be in the Horn. I don't need to misspell that today either. So Pepsi Cola owns Gatorade, true Eminem hit whose title became a neologism for fan, Stan. And I guess really stands out would be Sparkles, and historical records would be Annals. So I did. I watched The Whale, and I got to tell you, wow, that was a wow type of moment. Dressing targets. Not done naturally in a way. See this G here? Sometimes when we're solving, it's like we may be, as some of our friends may accuse us on occasion, walking like, oh, he's just a walking thesaurus or something, right? But not, maybe that's somewhat true, but just because we love words, right? We're word lovers, so therefore this is something that we dig on. But if you're not done naturally in a way, if I had a G there, there's a time I might think rigged, but now I'm thinking staged. But nevertheless, it takes a little clue. And sometimes to get to the little clues, you got to find the one thing that you're semi-sure about, if there's like nothing that you're totally sure about, just to give you a starting point, right? I guess these could be swords for our dressing targets. Loses power could be dies. But even like right here, if you had a 4-letter and they were all blank and it says loses power, I mean, yeah, dies makes sense, but ebbs would make sense too. So, target of the 1890 Sherman Act would be trust. Whip up could be to rustle up. It's kind of interesting that particular phrase has its origins in horse thieving, but well, it works for me. Player in the AL East, an Oriole. And by the way, if you get a player in the AL East and you got nothing, sometimes it's just best to go, okay, I got 6 letters, just put in Oriole, right? And just see if it helps, right? So Ralph, who wrote the novel Juneteenth, and that would be Ellison. Many an MBA's undergrad major. How about economics, or as we're saying informally, econ? And a spot for cannonballs is clearly the deep end of the pool, and something typically left in the U.S. but not in Japan. And that's right, that's a big bad thing. No tips in there. So, got it then. How do we do, Bob? Bob doesn't exist, and I don't know where it comes from. And sometimes I think about that, like, where did that come from? I could have sworn it was from a game show or something when I was a kid. So how do we do, Bob? Kind of a thing, right? Maybe the game show host is talking to the announcer, right? How do we do, Bob? How did she do, Bob? Kind of a thing, but I don't know where I got it. I don't know. So typically I got it. That was the tip. And we've got dies. This was a great grid. It really was. It had a nice... It had a cheerful gait. It did. And it was very clever. And it was by no means whatsoever a rollover. In other words, it was not the kind of grid that you were just going to fly through. This is going to take an inexperienced solver time. It takes an experienced solver time, right? And if I were doing this just on my own, sitting in a cafe on a Saturday morning, nothing else to do but drink espressos until I have the shakes, I would probably do this in about 20 or 30 minutes because I'd be savoring every word of the grid. It was just a beautiful, beautiful construction. Fantastic. Nothing, not a single bit of inelegance whatsoever. And that's becoming the going thing. And that's pretty cool. That's very cool. But I don't have to deal with an ETA or a GPS or something like this. And granted, the Atlas was a bit, I don't think I've ever considered an Atlas. An Atlas is something that's big and it's up on a reading dais or something, right? So I don't know. But nevertheless, by definition, it is what it is. It was a fabulous word, fabulous clue, fabulous everything all around. Beautiful grid. Loved every second of it. And now I'm getting the hiccups. So, just in time. So, until we see you tomorrow, ich wünsche Ihnen einen schönen Tag noch. Auf Wiedersehen. Tschüss und Servus. Grüß Gott. Ciao. Cin-Cin. Be well out there. Take care of yourselves and your friends and your family. Of course, be nice to your neighbors, but be especially kind to that stranger behind you in line. It may just get paid forward to you again one day, but at least you know you did your part to make things just a little bit better. Be careful out there. Be well, and we will see you on the morrow.